Welcome back to Roundtable. I'm here with a few friends that are making some return visits to the Roundtable community. Shout out to them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves as they formally requested. You guys take it away.
We did indeed formally request to introduce ourselves. My name is Jessica Pallett. I'm the Interim Director of Finance for DFW Normal and a Distinguished Toastmaster.
I'm Roy Stanley, political activist, and I run for office.
My name is Eric Espinoza, Secretary of DFW Normal and fitness coach.
Sean McAllister, Executive Director of DFW Normal.
Now, Jessica, we wanted you to open us up with the topic of the Women's March that happened recently. My basic narrative, just to kind of set the stage, I support the Women's March, and I think that they're doing the right thing. But what I might need a little more clarity on just is the timing. I feel that there's a little disingenuous element in the timing because we all remember how what reactions happened 8 years ago when President Obama had been elected. So just give us some clarity on the Women's March.
Sure. I do understand that you're questioning the genuineness of the march, considering Obama was one of the highest women-supported candidates of all time. They say just because he was handsome and whatnot. And then now we have our Trump. And so I understand what you're saying. But truly, anytime women get together, shit gets done. Let's just say that. Right. And so just in Fort Worth, there were over 8,000 women at that Women's March just downtown. How I feel about it is I wish I could have been there, truly. This morning in one of my yoga classes, one of my yoga students came up to me and said that they went to the march and that they felt inspired. And additionally, that they wanted to get active in some local politics, which is good. Anytime activism can inspire anyone to take an action, not just to have a thought, then I support it all around, and I think most of us do.
Women's rights are human rights, obviously, but it seems as if with the Women's March, like I think I saw a sign that said, "I can't believe we still have to do this in 2017." Like, does it not? I don't know if the Roundtable agrees. Is it not irritating that, you know, not just women, but certain demographics are having to remind us that we're all human beings?
Oh, certainly. I think each of us can not imagine what it is to be marginalized for a particular group, while each of us are marginalized for a certain reason. While I'm a white female, I don't feel marginalized as a woman, but I do feel marginalized as a libertarian, for example. So people still need to march. They still need to get together. They still need to continue to show that there are marginalized communities still, and I do feel like women are marginalized.
8,000 people in Fort Worth alone, that is super impressive. As somebody who has been responsible for putting these types of things together, I am blown away by the fact that 8,000 women showed up to give a damn. And I hope that that means we can look forward to more of that type of behavior, not only for a women's march, but for just general liberty issues from women, if women are so pumped up and ready to make a change. Because I think Jessica is right. When a bunch of women get together and they know how the system works, the system changes. And it benefits, I think, everybody when the women get involved and start to make their voices heard and not just rely on politics as usual.
Now, you're the executive director of DFW Normal. Just basically from a leadership standpoint, what inspires you, Sean, with the Women's March? Like specifically, what are your preference? What really stands out that shows you that there's going to be reform coming out of what they're doing?
I'm all about the numbers, and 8,000 people showing up with probably very little promotion on their part. That is massive. Can you imagine how many women would have shown up had there been billboards up for a month, like they do a gun show around here? I mean, you could have been looking at tens of thousands of women who would, the second they saw that billboard or heard about it, they're putting it on their Google Calendar. And they're going to make sure their friends, or at least know about it. And so I think that the sheer number of women who were able to show up to that thing, what day was that? Was it Saturday? Yes. Think about how many women wish they could have, but they had to work on Saturday. So that, you know, when you think about how many women could be doing this type of thing, I hope this is just the beginning. I hope, you know, before we started, Roy mentioned that, 50,000 showed up in Austin? 50,000 women showed up in Austin? that is unprecedented. I've never heard of that before. And I hope that means that all these women are ready to go and do something and make a difference in whatever specific thing that they're passionate about. For me, it's naturally marijuana law reform, but it's generally like get out of my business as a
We'll
private
get to
citizen.
that. We'll get to that.
So I was in Austin, and yeah, there were 50,000 people. We covered 20 city blocks in the march. There were enough people there that by the time we got to the street to start marching, the front of the line had already come all the way back around twice. I mean, the streets were completely overloaded to the point where people had to move aside and stop marching in order to make room for more people to move in just to fit in the streets. And this movement is about so much more than just women's rights. It's everybody's rights, LGBT, Black Lives Matter, immigration. All this was brought up in the wonderful speeches there in Austin. I mean, this is what true patriotism looks like, is knowing that you have the right to change things and making sure that your voice is heard.
Yeah, I really do agree with Roy there. That it's more about making sure that everybody is being treated equally and that everybody's rights are being honored, no matter what their background, what their religion, what their ability or disability is. Like, that's a basic human right, and you're allowed to do that. And if you feel that you're not getting that, then 50,000 people should just be a drop in the bucket, you know? So I'm really excited to see, now that there is a push like that, how many more topics and how many more issues are people going to show up and march for?
As we continue to talk about political activism, Roy, that's actually your topic. Now, we talked off camera. You said you were a centrist, that you believed in that. Well, let me first start with myself. I personally believe every political philosophy is right on something. That's why they exist in the first place. But just like with the universe, we were talking about yoga earlier, just like with, how we as a species interact with the universe, how does one's perspective or how does a collective's perspective interact with, the government, with the economy, with each other?
I look at everything scientifically. So if we're going by, like, say, the scientific method, if the premises of the hypothesis are made, they have to be falsifiable, which means that somebody has to have the ability to prove it wrong. Through tedious measures to try to prove it wrong, if nobody can, that becomes our idea of what truth is. It's not absolute, but it exists to the point that nobody has proven it wrong yet. Politically speaking, all of our ideals...
In other words, there are no absolutes.
Right. As far as all of our ideals in politics, if there was a definite answer that couldn't be proven wrong, we would all believe the same thing and there wouldn't be parties, which is why it's so important to have multiple parties, third parties, for people to question the establishment and to look for answers and to find accurate sources, not, just fake news or whatever kind of news you can find on the internet. But, the reason I'm a centrist is because I openly listen to all sides, the authoritarian side, the libertarian side, the left, the right. Everybody has valid opinions. And to completely shut them out just because you have a different opinion is anti-democratic.
So let's ground it a little bit. If I was to say to you, Roy, I think Roe v. Wade should be overturned, what would be your response?
I would ask you why. I mean, I want to hear your opinion on that. And if you give me a valid
because I'm pro-life, just like God, and I hold up a Bible.
I'd still ask them to expand on that. There's a lot to be said about, let's say, the Bible. There are plenty of Christians that are looking at the Bible as a reason to be pro-life, and there's people that are looking at the Bible as a reason to dismiss LGBT rights. But there's an equal number of people that look at it and through, let's say, Christ's teachings as loving and accepting everybody and forgiving everybody, and then we break it down philosophically into what about our choice, our free will? Whether you're religious or not, we do have free will, and that is something that people can't take away. Anytime you take away somebody's free will, that's anti-democracy.
CBD, Eric, was yours. You wanted to talk about the testimonial. Your testimonial was CBD.
Yeah. CBD, for me, has been it's one of those things you never really expect to find. I was at the Southwest Cannabis Conference, and Honeybee Healthy Living had a booth there. I cruised on over just to see, what they were talking about, what different variations they might have had, tinctures, vapes, things like that. I talked to Glenn Reynolds about my pain and my pain management that I was on pharmaceuticals and painkillers, muscle relaxers, things like that, and if he thought the CBD might help those symptoms.